Dino Stories. Hello and welcome back to Dino Stories, where we bring you valuable knowledge and skills through the power of storytelling. Aren't you interested in what kind of message will be conveyed through our tale this episode? Sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's story time. What should we do when we're bored? Otis was hanging around the house. This morning, he was not in the mood to do anything. No matter where he looked, he was not interested. Mom asked Otis, "What's wrong with you, Otis? Don't you like to play Lego?"
"I'm so bored,"
Otis replied, staring blankly at the Lego box.
"I'm going to run to Sam's room and see if she has something to play with."
Knock, knock, knock.
"Sam, what are you doing? Do you have any cool games for me to play with?"
"Yes, sit down and read a book with me. I've got some really interesting books."
"A book? I don't know how to read,"
Sam said sadly.
"Well, you better go to Hip's room. Hip always has games for you."
Knock, knock, knock.
"Brother Hip, what are you playing? Let me play with you. Being at home for a long time makes me bored."
Hip was fidgeting in his room. "Yes, I'm fixing this old watch. Come here and fix it with me." Otis looked at Hip's old stuff dejectedly and said,
"I'm not in the mood for this today."
Otis thought blankly.
"I'll call Ben and see if he has any ideas to help me get out of this boredom."
However, Ben's mother said that Ben was sick and could not talk.
"Oh, that's so sad. What can I do?"
Otis lamented. Otis walked into Grandma's room. Grandma was knitting.
"Grandma, don't you get tired of knitting all day?"
She continued knitting and said to Otis,
"No, baby, I love knitting, so I enjoy doing it."
Otis looked at her and sighed.
"So, do you ever get bored?"
At this point, she stopped knitting, looked at Otis lovingly, and replied,
"Yes, when I was bored, I would look around to see if there was anything I could do. Sometimes I would find a few scraps of fabric and sit down to sew them. That's how I made the tablecloth."
"So, what if I'm bored, Grandma? There's no one to make my boredom stop."
Grandma laughed and said, "Isn't that your fault? You must be responsible for your own happiness. Try looking around to see if there's anything that makes you happy." Otis looked around and saw some small paper boxes and 3 buttons on her sewing machine table. His eyes lit up.
"Grandma, are you going to use these boxes and buttons? I'll use them to make a rocket."
Otis carried the pile of things from Grandma's room to his bed. The boy started to cut, paste, and paint for a long time. Finally, a rocket was completed. Otis took the rocket, ran down to the yard, and showed it to the many children playing there. Everyone loved Otis's rocket, and he was no longer bored. That brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed the story and had fun while learning something new. If you enjoy our podcast and would like to support us, please check out the link for donations in our description. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to life. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on Dino Stories.